Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing today? So, I've had a lot of people email me about my last video, and they wanted me to talk about the parable of the sower. Apparently, a lot of people didn't really understand the connection I was trying to make, so they asked me to talk about the parable of the sower. So, the parable of the sower, and like I said, I'll put the link, I'll put the Bible verse down below so you guys can read it. It basically says there was a man who had a bag of seeds and he wanted to plant the seeds. And it was very typical at that time that when you had extra seed, you would put them in a bag. You'd reach in the bag, you'd pull out the seeds, and you would just kind of throw it in front of you, hoping that something would grow, because you didn't want to waste the seeds. So it talks about the man who had these bag of seeds, and he was throwing the seeds out. And some of the seeds fell on good ground, good soil. Some of the seeds fell on hard, rocky soil. Some of the seeds fell on like rocks and stuff like that. And some of the seeds fell in ground that had weeds in it. And then it basically talks about how the good soil, they had a crop. There was a crop in the good soil. The hard soil, the birds came and they ate the seeds. The rocky ground, seeds grew, but the roots weren't that good, so they ended up just dying from the sun because they didn't have very good roots. And the weeds ended up choking out whatever was growing, so they ended up killing it. And then later in the story, it talks about, Jesus said this parable is talking about people's hearts. And the good ground is the person that hears the gospel. They hear what it says, they receive it, and they grow. And it's all normal. And then the rocky soil is people that hear the gospel, but Satan and his minions come and they basically tempt them and tell them, oh, that's not true, this and that, and it doesn't go anywhere. The rocky soil ends up being ground where, you get on fire for the Lord. You're like, oh, I'm a Christian now, this is great, and you start talking to people. But when a tribulation happens, you just kind of fall away because you don't have big roots or a strong foundation. And the weeds that gets choked out is basically people that are, I'm a Christian, I'm on fire for the Lord, and you talk to somebody who's an atheist or doesn't believe, and they kind of stifle what you believe in. And I was talking about your foundation of faith, and if you have a strong foundation in God, you're going to have a good foundation. Trials and tribulations are going to come, and it's not going to matter. Well, that's just like the rocky ground and the ground with the weeds. If you have a strong foundation, you're going to get good roots. People can't tell you that the Bible's wrong. You're going to believe them. And, of course, the hard ground is, Satan's going to tempt you and stuff like that. So if you had a good foundation in Christ, none of those things are going to happen. And that was the revelation I was trying to tell you about, how the good worker, the guy that built his foundation on the rock, good foundation, and the sandy, bad foundation, kind of reminded me of the story of the sower. So like I said, I'm going to put the Bible verses down below so you guys can check that out. And I will see you guys next time. If you have any questions or comments, you can comment below. You can email me or whatever. And make sure you like the video. You guys have a great day. I'll talk to you next time.